Do you think we'll ever see an orange Deltic?
We
Today I find myself in the Czech Republic, more specifically in Prague. And usually for us when we're in Prague, we tend to do featurettes, for a certain guy with a hat. But today is different. Today we're heading somewhere else. So let's go there. We are 114 kilometers away here in Hradec to visit Trilab, which is the new member of the Prusa Research family. And who better to talk to us about Trilab than one of the founders, Wojta. Hello, Wojta.
Hi.
So we're here for a bit of a story. We want to know about Trilab and why Prusa Research was so interested in expanding its family to acquire a majority part in Trilab. So how did it all start for Trilab?
Back in 2016, I was a lab guy. I was basically working in biomedical research. And both me and my current partner, Michael, we found that there are some major advantages for people in the life science industry or in the life science area where they might benefit from adding 3D printing and additive solutions to their workflow. We were actually the first ones to find it ourselves. That helped us tremendously during various research projects to have the option and the possibility of printing a component that exactly matches your needs and requirements instead of doing some workarounds, duct tape, polystyrene, stuff like that. And so when we found it worked for us, there were a lot of friends and colleagues around us who found that, hey guys, you solved the issue somehow. How did you do that? And so that's how slowly we introduced 3D printing into the local life science community. But very quickly we discovered that it's not just the life science community that benefits from 3D printing. And we discovered all the myriad of applications from automotive industry, production, art, etc., etc.
Now, as opposed to what Prusa Research does, which is mostly Cartesian 3D printers like the Mark III, the Mark II, and everything before that. Recently, Cantilever, which is the Prusa Mini, and Future, which will be Core XY with the Prusa XL. You've started out with Delta Kinematics and remained throughout your lifetime with it, and I believe you plan on following. Do you think that at some point you might change? And if not, why a Delta?
Right. So from the very first start, we saw that a Delta style printer and Delta Kinematics device has a lot of advantages, especially in the FDM world. So basically with the Delta, there's hardly anything moving around. So the bed and the printout and the model is completely static. It doesn't move during printing, which has huge advantages for you as user. So A, the model doesn't move, so the print quality goes up. B, since it doesn't move, it requires a lot less support to stay on the bed. And C, you can print in pretty obscure orientations that allow you to print models that otherwise you would have trouble printing just because of the simple fact. Moreover, it's not just about a model, it's also about the entire printer. So since our print head is very light, we are using a Bowden config. So the print quality, again, if you don't have to accelerate and decelerate a lot of mass, the print quality goes up. And last but not least, also the service intervals with such a printer where the only thing you're actually moving are the 3 carriages. So the lifetime of the components, the lifespan of the component goes up again. Deltas also make a lot of sense with our newest addition to the printer line, which is the Aztec. Aztec is not just enclosed, it's also actively heated. And where Delta makes a lot of sense with the Aztec is that we can very nicely keep everything that's temperature sensitive outside the print chamber. So all the electronics, the power supply, the stepper motors, all the components which otherwise would be damaged or would suffer from heat are outside from the print chamber, which can reach up to 80 C, so it's pretty hot. And all that's kept inside are the linear rails, the carbon fiber rods, and the print head. So we keep as little as possible in the print head so that we can increase the temperature in the chamber as much as possible so that we can offer our customers the widest range of possible materials they can process with the printer.
You mentioned when we came in here, you spoke about modularity. How can such a machine be modular in a way that, like we understand it?
Very quickly, we understood that with a B2B environment, so our customers are usually factories, manufacturing companies, automotive. what is key is the ability not only to supply the user with a solution, so a demo print, a machine that is installed at their premises and at their facility, but these customers also expect and require service and support. And so if you have a malfunction on a certain component with the printer, it's very inefficient and that doesn't really make sense to ship the entire printer for service. So with the Deltic 2, we introduced most of the components that are with the printer, like the extruder and the print head. They are modular, so you can remove them as a user operation or as a user removable component. Just disconnect from a plug basically, and if there is a service required on this component, they can just ship us the component within a box, and in the same time they get a new one so they continue printing the component.
Why Prusa, or what has Prusa seen in Trilab that possibly no one else saw that made him believe in it so much that he decided to invest in the company? And how will you fit in the future of Prusa Research?
So what Joe and his companies are doing so great and so well is supplying B2C printers like the Mark III, which usually comes as a kit, to various customers all around the world. And very often what both Prusa Research and us can see is that not only hobby users buy these B2C machines, it's also small family businesses, small companies who maybe didn't have a chance yet to discover what 3D printing is all about, if it makes sense in their business. And very often when they do find out, they very often try to go further and look if there are printers there that might better suit their needs. So this is kind of a logical upgrade from a 3D printer like the Mark III. Let's say a customer discovers the potential of additive in his or her company. Then they can say upgrade and see that the component that they used to print from PLA or PTG, now they can print it out of ABS, ASA, polycarbonate, and these technological materials.
Do you think we'll ever see an orange Deltic?
We actually have one somewhere, I think. No, the thing is, the decision was made quite early in the fusion process that we will keep the Trilab brand separate. We're proud of being part of the Prusa Research family, but it kind of makes sense because obviously with the Trilab printers we are heading in a different application direction, and it also makes sense to address these customers with specific support material, with specific application notes, with specific case studies, and this not always makes sense to merge everything under one brand. So while it does become apparent, and again we're proud of it, that we're part of the Prusa Research company, Trilab is more of a B2B brand within the Prusa Research group, with all the focus that this requires.
I think that says a lot about Trilab, because Prusa has purchased the company in the past, which was the SLA, or the resin company. And it wasn't a separate entity. It was completely absorbed by Prusa, revamped the machine, made it a Prusa machine, and started selling them under the Prusa Research brand. Whereas this will remain independent, because I guess if it ain't broken, don't fix it.
That's exactly right. So this will remain as a separate entity. We were in a slightly different situation because we had two product lines basically finished and selling. And so this was more of a finding a suitable strategic investor that can help us boost up and help us deliver these machines to as many customers as possible, where they can take the full advantage of the possibilities.
Before we wrap this up, what are the future plans for Trilab? How do you see yourself growing from here on, now that you have a bit of muscle behind you like Prusa Research?
Right. So right now we're focusing on the ramp up. So both the Deltic and the Aztec range need several slight modifications in order to be able to ramp up to the production that we're planning. The next steps that I can already now comment on and maybe tell a little behind the scenes is we are working on several upgrades for the Aztec that will enable the users to print more high temperature materials, more resilient materials. So that requires a lot of changes in the printhead so that we can melt at higher temperatures. The next step might be, you know what? I'll keep it for myself.
Yeah, you keep it, and I'll just look at it. But nothing.
It's hidden behind the door.
Well, thank you very much, Vojta. It was an absolute pleasure to be here. I wish you the best of luck. And yeah, well, I'm hoping to see much more of you guys soon.
Thank you.